Hello, everybody. Today, I'm in conversation with Professor Rita Ray, former head Department of Sociology, Utkal University, Orissa. This is part of Indian Sociological Society's initiative to have a dialogue with eminent sociologists, their lives and works, which in many ways shape the contours of the discipline in their specific regional context. And I must thank Professor Maitri and Indian Sociological Society for this very meaningful initiative. I'm, of course, delighted to have this conversation with Professor Rita Ray. I have been her doctoral scholar and have fond memories of working with her. Professor Ray is a distinguished academic and consultant with over 40 years of experience in sociology, specializing in areas such as development, gender, and religion. She currently serves as adjunct professor in the Department of Sociology at National Law University of Orissa. Throughout her career, Professor Ray has been instrumental in shaping academic discourses and social policies both nationally and internationally. Her contributions have been phenomenal, especially in terms of institution building. She has served the university in various capacities, beginning as faculty member when she joined the department in 1975, and then as head of the department, chairperson of the Postgraduate Council, and also as in charge vice chancellor during very tumultuous times in the history of the university. She has introduced numerous courses and electives in the department. Most notable has been her pioneering role in introducing and popularizing gender studies in the university as well as in the state. Professor Ray has guided and awarded close to 20 PhD theses, mostly pertaining to issues of gender development and questions of resettlement and rehabilitation. She has two co-authored books, Beyond Resettlement and Rehabilitation with Professor Eskrant from Lund University, and the other From Blood to Fire, Gram Devis and the Changing Culture of Orissa with Dr. Eleanor Garden from Ramdias University, USA. Her consulting work spans organizations like the World Bank, United Nations Development Program, Food and Agriculture Organization, Asian Development Bank, focusing on resettlement and rehabilitation, social policy, and community development. She has designed and implemented impactful social policies and programs for both state and non state institutions. I welcome Professor Ray, and what a wonderful day to have this conversation. Let me begin, ma'am, by wishing you a happy Teacher's Day. You have been my
Oh,
teacher, supervisor, and mentor.
thank
So
you.
happy Teacher's Day.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be grilled by a former student of mine who is herself a very, very renowned sociologist. Let me know what you want me to say to you.
All right, ma'am. So we begin this conversation. Let me begin by asking you, do tell us something about your academic journey. How did you find sociology? What
Yeah,
triggered your interest in the subject? Yes.
yes. Actually, I didn't know much about sociology, to be honest, but I was very keen in studying anthropology because anthropology was my very favorite subject, and that was or both because it was mark fetching. That's a very bad reason to have as anthropology, but it was both mark fetching. But I was also interested in tribal studies, so I was very interested in anthropology, and that is how I went to Delhi for studying anthropology mostly. But I landed up in Delhi University where the professor, who was very kind, I forgot his name, but he was very kind. He told me that they can only give me and they will give me a seat for physical anthropology, which I was not interested in. Physical anthropology was least I was interested in. So I moved to, very disappointed, moved to JNU, and in JNU I appeared because I had political science honors and sociology. I mean, I didn't have sociology at all, but I had political science honors, and where I gave my interview and everything was selected, reluctantly selected though, because I wasn't very good in presenting myself in the interview board. The second one I appeared was, I mean, out of, I didn't apply, but I just went to sociology and met Professor Singh, Professor Yagendra Singh, and Professor T.K. Uman. And I found the professors very, gelling very well with me. So I thought, so not that political science professors were wrong, but I found them too, too much for me to handle, perhaps. I don't know. Then I was very little, very young. So then I preferred sociology. So by some kind of accident, I was sociology, but I was interested in anthropology.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty, very, very interesting that from anthropology you moved to sociology and you also had political science as the honors. So I think you found sociology by accident. And
Yeah, you can say very clearly accident because I was very fond of the teachers
okay,
with whom I faced interview. So I thought that they are the very convenient teachers to be with. So I thought not that political science teachers were wrong; they are also giants, but I
okay,
really couldn't gel with them.
okay. And then once you finished your MA and MPhil in JNU, then
Yeah.
I think you went abroad. So if you could
Yeah,
just
but
tell us, yeah.
then that was a very troublesome period for me because no, I went directly to Utkal University. That was also accidental in a way because I was very keen in coming back to Orissa, but that I didn't imagine that I'll get it so quickly. So
Okay,
just immediately after MPhil, then I went. I mean, there was an advertisement. One professor of anthropology, whom I'm very grateful to for various reasons, Professor L.K. Mohapatra, the anthropologist, very well-known anthropologist, he suggested that you should come to Orissa because people, in Orissa, they need your kind of
yeah,
exposure. I didn't know what it meant, but I was very young, almost little. So I just applied without knowing that I'll get it. But I applied, and there were large number of candidates for this, and very elderly candidates. And so I appeared in the interview, and I was selected. And when I was selected, this was almost a shock to me. I attended the interview because I just thought that I'll just test it, how it feels like facing an interview. I didn't face an interview before. So I was selected amidst at least hundreds of them.
okay,
So, mm, but I was very nervous to be employed. But I came back anyway, joined, and almost the same age group as the students of my students. So it was
uh-huh.
postgraduate student and MPhil postgraduate students. So I was very, it was not a very easy journey there. Couple of years because I was I had to go through the same age group as students, and especially male students. Most were male students. It was an extension of a local college. This institute was an extension of local college. In Utkal University was an extension of Utkal University. Sociology was an extension of local college from where only sociology honors was introduced. And university has a rule not to take people from other than any other, from any other discipline other than the same branch. Like if you had to have sociology as postgraduate, you had to have a sociology honors, like political science and in other places. But this one was getting an extension from that college, private college, where there was no life in it, and there was absolutely no girl students, only boys.
Okay,
Maybe one or half or two or something. So,
okay.
therefore, we had to. Therefore, that was the first initiative I took. That we should make it interdisciplinary. That was my experience from Jane.
Okay. So that's very interesting. This was in 1975, I guess, when you joined.
1975. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
and
very
uh,
scary.
o- only boys and hardly any girl, and that's pretty interesting. It's just almost the reverse now. So, what has it been like teaching and doing sociology in the context of Orissa in Utkal University? I mean, a decades-long experience. If you can just
Yeah,
tell us about.
Yes, it was not nothing to do with Odisha, but when it became interdisciplinary,
Mhm.
believe me, it became lot of girl students started coming in, and lot
Okay.
of them from every other discipline, and that was the most exciting time of Utkal University. Then every it was interdisciplinary. It was sociology was very vibrant then. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I was also very active then. Then that of course made it very it's a girls were large number of girls were there, and that became very accommodative with all kinds of people. But then before I joined, the girls, if there were any girl student, they used to stand outside. They would not enter the classroom until the teacher came, because it was very unsafe, considered to
Oh.
be unsafe. Well, it wasn't actually unsafe, but it was considered to be unsafe. But there were hardly any girl students anyway. So
Uh,
it was.
hmm. So I find this very interesting, this aspect, because in some ways there has been a feminization of the discipline also. I mean, sociology is considered, as a soft subject and only for women and
Mm.
these kind of things. So in that context, I'm just wondering what was the curriculum like that it attracted mostly boys? And when you say interdisciplinary, what were the kind of things that you integrated, which really made it very appealing to a larger
Well,
cohort?
I was not the only person who did. We had a professor also who helped us. It was interdisciplinary. I mean, mainly from the courses taken from JNU, courses taken from. I mean, we didn't innovate anything. To be very honest, we didn't innovate anything. But initially, it was that which helped us to introduce in the postgraduate courses, and that another thing which helped us. It was before it was introduced interdisciplinary. It was mostly with labor welfare, which was industrial sociology mostly.
Okay.
But this now it become evenly from all branches of social sciences and sociology, political, family, kinship, all anthropology, everything was included. So that was very
Okay.
interesting and exciting, and I had no problem with that.
That's pretty wonderful. So you are the only feminist sociologist in Orissa that I have known. I mean, there might be others, but I
Yeah.
still remember your classes on feminism, and in fact, that was one of the reasons which attracted most of us to Utkal University. Your lectures on in feminist theory. But we all know it's not easy being a feminist in academia. How did you navigate that complex terrain?
Oh, Lina, you genuinely want the true story? I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, it's very difficult to tell you the entire story, but I will tell you some glimpses of my experiences, because they are mostly very, very bitter, very bitter. But not nothing from student side. I
Okay.
was very delighted that students were very interested in feminist studies
Uh-huh,
or gender
uh-huh,
studies and
uh-huh.
everything, and they would be for 3 hours, couple of hours, 3 hours. That's beyond imagination. They will listen to the lectures, and that is what kept me going. But I had tremendous reservations or oppositions from the colleagues, and also from the university atmosphere. Generally, they're considered feminists as housebreakers, unnecessary housebreakers, divorcees, and all these kinds of these things were attached. And that being the case, it became a personal attack on me, very personal attack. I mean, numerous anonymous letters against me sent all over, and as very, very frustrating, extremely frustrating every day with a lot of anonymous letters. Anyway, I don't want to recollect everything, but I just wanted to tell you that it's been very bad experience with my colleagues. And when I insisted on introducing a women's studies and feminist studies course, especially, then three male teachers in the department almost locked me up in a room, and almost going to attack me that it shouldn't be introduced. It should be instead it should be voluntary study or something. Which I didn't. I was not against that, but I wanted this one to be introduced. But anyway, it was introduced. What for whatever reasons I don't remember, but it was introduced. But I had to go through violent atmosphere and tons of anonymous letters, and those language should be you know and everyone should be ashamed of, to so much so that I had to file a police case against this, because they have to had to find out, but that I didn't pursue and I forgot about it. But that was constantly my, it was a problem for me. It was a
Okay.
problem, but my biggest pleasure was never got anything against me from the students. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, students were, I was very fond of them. They were also very fond and equally fond of me, and but my administrators were mostly very good, but lot of them were against it. The feminist studies was again considered associated with housebreaking and divorce and family breaking and children not looking after children, not being a good mother, and all those things were associated, and that was largely prevalent in Utkal University. Largely prevalent. So I had to face a lot of problems for that, but three, four teachers, I can never forget their contribution personally, because some of them were really, really very positive, very few, but very positive, and that made me good.
Okay. And ma'am, which year was this introduced? Would you recall gender
I think,
studies?
yeah, it was introduced when mm, in 80s, but I can't
80s,
remember
80s.
exactly, early
Yeah.
80s. But then I must also tell you that was introduced at the behest of TIS.
Okay. All right.
This, Bombay was, in fact, much more advanced in women's studies in that sense.
Ah,
Uh, uh, Amurtoi Desai and some teachers were very important for women's studies, and we were the the administrator then in Utkal administrator, when the university is taken over by the government. So that was taken over by the government, and uh, he sent me as a women's studies, get some training for on women's studies. That was there in TIS.
okay.
Yeah.
And I asked because I think later, subsequently, a women's studies center started in the Department of Political Science, I
Yes.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
political science, and they didn't want to give it to me.
Okay.
That was okay, because this
Okay.
university used to be, and still to a large extent, I don't know whether it should be said so publicly, is very casteist. It's very,
Okay.
and I
Mm-hmm.
was not a Brahmin. I'm not
Uh-huh.
considered an Oriya, not considered an Oriya, though I'm full-time Oriya.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah.
considered Oriya,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not an internal person. I mean, not product of Orissa, and not, a divorcee. A lot of other things were there.
Okay.
So therefore, it was not given to me. That was okay. I didn't want it anyway, but that was more of an administrative work. But it was there and introduced, but much later. I think it
Ah,
was much later. But that was a contribution by also TIS, and also a lot of initiative taken by, I can't remember exactly, but it was taken by Margaret Alva,
okay. All right. Minister. She was a minister at that point of time. Yes.
women and child
Yes,
minister.
yes, yes. Okay. So, ma'am, we move on to the next set of questions, which is like you have like 40 years and more experience of doing
Yeah.
sociology in Utkal
Yeah.
University. And now, of course, you are in a
No,
law school.
36 years, 36 in Utkal.
36, 36. So, how has sociology changed over the years? I mean, every discipline, for example, evolves, responds to the churnings of the times we live in.
Yeah.
How has it been in the context of Orissa?
Yeah, it has been very vibrant department, and most students were very vibrant. The content of the course content was very vibrant, and we used to get from among the social science, we used to get the best students in any case. So they, unfortunately, most of them went to administration, not to research, or not many of them did not go to research. There were those who were left with research, they did very well. Uh,
Mhm.
Example is yourself, but a lot of people were there. I mean, quite a few people were there who did their academic excellence. And what should I say? Yeah, I think there were the lot of emphasis were given to pure interdisciplinary sociology subjects.
Okay.
Interdisciplinary sociology subjects. Yeah.
So, also a related question is, has there been a kind of reimagination of the discipline? Like, recasting it, looking like you spoke about caste, you spoke about patriarchy, gender. So, looking at it, what happens when we look at sociology through a feminine, that kind of thing, has it been attempted? Not just in Utkal, but also the colleges, other universities in Orissa?
Not really, to be fair, to be honest, not really. But there is a lot of churning going on about against the not imagining sociology in a different perspective, but actually the social churning in the sense that people are becoming conscious about uh, caste, for instance, casteism. Uh, they're conscious about being, feminists and not outcasts and all those things.
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
they're
mhm.
accepting it with grace and respect. Um, all these things are important. And you do believe that the brightest students of social sciences are coming to sociology department? That's a very good thing. They're doing extremely well. It's becoming too feminine though, but I don't want it. But there are very few male students, but that doesn't mean anything. Well, but it should have been more balanced. It should have been more balanced. But they are excellent students. The best ones are in sociology. Actually, the best ones. That's a very this thing.
Ah,
They are
that's
doing little bit of. We are doing little bit of recasting of sociological imagination, but to be honest, not a great deal.
Mhm. Okay, okay, that's interesting. Okay, you have taught sociology in a sort of a mainstream university, Utkal University, and now for many years, and now you teach sociology in a national law school.
So,
Do you see a difference? I mean, has
oh yeah.
anything?
Oh, yeah, it was, and I mean, it was really enlightening to me to go to an undergrad school. I'd never taught in an undergrad school, and it was very good. Initially, it was more or less the same as in postgraduate students, in the sense that I didn't find any different, not much different. But sociology in law universities were usually that time it used to be taught for 6 semesters. You know, it had a lot of emphasis on sociology, but gradually, with a lot of for different reasons, it reduced to 3 semesters, and also when the students had become little older, they studied sociology in the sense second, third, fourth semester, and they reduced the number of sociology courses for whatever reason. I think they wanted to give it more emphasis on law, which must be fair. But I don't know. First 5, 6 years, it was very vibrant. So much so, Lina, I should tell you that some of the students actually gave up law to study
Mhm.
sociology in JNU.
Wonderful.
There are students. I mean, I don't know whether it is beautiful or not, but they did leave this. So they were really interested in sociology, and many of them appeared for different competitive. In short, I wanted to say that they gave equal importance to sociology and law and other subjects, which it should be academically in the undergraduate at the undergraduate level. But now this balance has been shifted.
Oh,
It's no
right.
longer. It's a secondary kind of course in law school.
Oh,
Now means maybe 3-4 years.
okay, okay. Um, okay, yeah. Also, sociology has got different disciplinary histories. I mean, in different regions, the discipline has got different histories. In different regions, we see a different
Mm,
kind of sociology depending on the context. Have
mm.
you noticed any? I mean, you studied in JNU, and then of course you came to Utkal, and you've contributed enormously to the department. And you also spoke about resistance and in your attempt to introduce certain courses. Do you see? I mean, you've traveled extensively. You have delivered lectures in so many places. Did you see a difference in the way in the curriculum and the practice of sociology in Orissa, and for example, other universities like Mumbai or Pune or wherever, Delhi?
Yeah. Um, Sociology in Orissa Utkal University is become or had become very popular. Then, let me say, I am, Lina, honestly not following up their progress. I'm
Mm.
looking up their courses of studies and all. I mean, I don't see any exciting changes there, but the teachers are now at least conscious about this. Number one. Number two is that, well, they are very, mm, yeah, they want to make it more upfront and good and, academical. So they're actually, I'm very impressed by their attempt to do it. I can't concretely say they're doing it and they have done it. That much
Mhm.
I can say. And what else I was going to say something. Anyway, ask me. I'll might remember on the way.
Okay. So the next set of questions relates to your research work. I mean, you have done some wonderful empirical work and
Yeah,
a lot around displacement and development and, rehabilitation, resettlement. You've designed so many things. And
yeah.
in that sense, you have taken sociology outside the classroom and the campus and, and I'm sure you have integrated those insights into policy
Oh,
frameworks. So can you tell us something about it?
oh yeah, I have. He will never be. He will be totally frustrated. I mean, frustrated in the sense he will be totally bored with a long time that I might take, but I'll not take long. I can tell you that it has been very, very rewarding for me. I was invite. I mean, I was very popular as a popular teacher. I mean, popular teacher and a popular lecturer all over the state and all over the I mean, all over Bhubaneswar. I was invited for giving popular lectures, whether it is feminism, whether it is just a good piece of lecture for everyone. Everyone, every day I had 3 or 4 popular lectures to be given, accomplished in public lecture. So much so when I don't know who USI is or government of India introduced feminist studies. mm, Mrs. Nandini Satpathy, I think she was the chief minister. I don't remember whether she was the chief minister, but she came from somewhere to deliver lecture to inaugurate the whole function on feminism. And she came and called me from the audience and said, "Rita, what is feminism?" You know, and that I can never forget. So I said that you don't have to know what is feminism, just tell the public your life. And she told for 2 hours her achievements in life as a woman and an activist, and then going to or whatever. So that really engrossed the entire public, and that is what I'm saying, that I'm very satisfied, content with my own performance as a public popular lecture, and then that has influenced a lot. And feminist studies also have, I mean, that's the women's studies have also influenced. And number two is my contribution to the Lina. Those days, these people used to come directly. International organizations, they used to hire directly,
Hmm.
so they didn't go through the institute. So I was very always selected or adapted by people to or taken by people to do research work. So not always necessarily my own interest. Believe me, I mean, I must admit that not necessarily in my own interest, but when I found the topics, whether it is World Bank, whether it is FAO, whether it is fishing community, whether it is displacement, so I got engaged into it, and then found a lot of interest in it, lot of dimensions that, and that is how we could change the policies. Displacement policy in Orissa was introduced by or changed because of our initiative. We had to displacement was because the policies were so lopsided without the women input in it. You can't believe. I remember in many places, women. I was a victim of that myself because of my children's, bank drafts could not be encashed because they were minor and they didn't have a father. I mean, they didn't have a father means we were divorced. So I had to throw. I have gone through that, and here in the displacement issues, those who had only girls as children, they did not get any benefit of displacement. Only boys. Neighbors who had three sons and three daughters were completely not given any benefit, whereas three sons got independent benefit. That I had to fight through and get it done, and that was a very good policy change that I could cut. A lot of those related policy changes we could make in displacement studies and things like that. Placement. Yeah. What was it? What was the topic? Yeah. I have been very that made me feel very happy, content with myself. Um, yeah, a lot of policy changes, and it was helpful, useful because the international organizations were directly coming and picking up people. And I remember in many places, displacement studies, when I pointed it out and said that they are more vocal, women, I mean, women were more, not because of my any gender bias, but genuinely in the rural areas, women were more vocal, and they understood the
Yes.
family issues much more intensely. I mean, men did, but then they did not actually. I mean, minor details men did not do. Men did not understand. Women did, and therefore, I really introduced that as a very important aspect, and to so much so that some studies showed that how much women were deprived of the benefits and how, and all these details. And then the World Bank some people had to come from Washington to tell me that I have to change the figure, which I did not.
Okay. Okay.
But I talked to the chief minister saying that they are saying this. So he said, why don't you change? I said, no, I cannot change. Then we will not get any benefit. I mean, we will not get any loan or whatever they were there. I said, I will not change. You people change on whatever ground you change. And they perhaps done it. I don't know. They wouldn't take my advice or my permission because it was government's decision to do it. But I did lot of them because very useful of them, some of them, because I was employed or hired directly by the institute, by the organizations, World Bank and ADB and yeah, Women and Child or whatever all they were directly, international organs were directly hiring.
Okay. And I'm sure this kind of, you must have carried these rich insights from the ground to your classroom, that
Yes,
must have your teaching, learning practices might have been impacted by that.
yes, I gave these as more as an example, though. I didn't
Okay.
change the course outline. I
Mm-hmm.
did, and then a lot of people were given their research topics on that. They did
Mm-hmm.
contribute research topics on that, and I gave all these as examples in the classroom. That
Mm-hmm.
really intensely gave students, they related themselves with this kind of issues. And well, course outline, I don't think we did a lot from, no, but then, yeah, finally meant the same thing almost. Maybe that not in the course directly, but it was with examples and with the practical knowledge. I think it was useful. They were really useful.
Mhm. So that's wonderful. Good to Nice to hear that. What would you like to say to the young faculty members in
Um,
sociology, young pedagogues? What would you like to
uh,
tell them?
I would like to say that no, now my experience with law school is very good because
Ah,
this is the group I never taught before. They are the
mhm,
undergrads, they're really tiny ones. Even if
mhm,
they're
mhm.
adults legally, in some sense, legally they're adults, but they're hardly adults. In their thinking, well, they're much more matured these days than what we were in our time. Much more matured, but that doesn't mean they suffer a lot from their being lonely. In many ways, they're actually lonely, in this at this level. And I will tell the teachers, all teachers, not just sociology, all teachers to be really engaging with the students in a very, instead of giving them constantly worries to how to be successful and all the anxieties, they are already coming from home with these anxieties. It shouldn't be there anymore from the teachers. I think that will make them very mm, positive in their expectations, and they'll have more flexibility in whatever they want to catch up, Lina. And that's been my. I have done that, and I know I'm fairly or quite popular teacher. Not so much because I teach well or not teach well, or that doesn't make me teach popular, because I listen to everyone. And I listen to everyone and I gossip with every student. So they don't distance me, and they're not going to anywhere for counseling. They come mostly to me for counseling. Though I tease them, why don't you go to a professional counselor? But they like to care. So, which I like, I think it has come from my sociology background and my personal journey, I think. And I
Yeah,
tell this to the teachers also, young
yeah.
teachers.
Uh, Yeah, and I couldn't agree more on that. I have always known you to be a very kind and compassionate person, very, very patient, and a very different kind of teacher, and of course, a lovely mentor. And one last question before we wind up. How is the research insights and the research frameworks, have they been kind of interrogated in the local context? When I say interrogated, I mean talking about overly quantitative. Are we moving towards
No, no, no,
something?
no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I think it's more has been from as long as we did more. I mean, I've stopped almost doing anything now, very little, because I interact a lot with students and I find this very, I mean, a lot of pleasure, and I can see in their eyes a lot of pleasure and confidence the students are getting. Therefore, I engage a lot with the students. But about the research, I'm saying now, the sociology is much more has remained much more qualitative, I think, to my satisfaction. Well, quantitative is also there, but I think it has remained a lot more qualitative. Like I enjoyed doing Gramadevi study, village deity study.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that has been so rewarding, Lina. I can't explain to you, because they are getting Hinduized and they are getting Sanskritized, which I don't like. But every village has a village deity, is a Gramadevi, and she's Ma. And
Okay.
she's so much of a feminist, you can't believe. And I tell
Okay.
the stories of these feminists. If somebody is having a problem in childbirth, somebody's husband is creating trouble, all women can go easily and directly talk to her, whosoever the Gramadevi is,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they are named locally. Now, of course, they have been Sanskritized names, like somebody will be called Duladei or somebody will be Suladei or something. And now, of course, they are called Nageshwari or all Ishwari or something, something. It's been more Hinduized lately. And the
Uh-huh.
worst thing, according to me, the worst thing is that these Hinduized temples has nothing to do with Hinduism though, but these temples are becoming now worshipped more only or more by men. It never
Okay.
and it never
Okay.
used to be by men necessarily more, and it used to be a bathing ceremony to the deity it's a deity, mother deity, and that used to be done by women
Okay.
and
Okay.
not by men. And now this bathing is done by men priests,
Oh,
and
that's
it's mostly with Brahmin priests. This I find little bit. I mean, I have never completed that book yet. I have about
okay.
5,000 data of the villages in Orissa. But I
Oh,
can't compile. Sometimes I want to, but sometimes I lose interest. But it's very exciting, Lina. I will pass it on to
oh.
somebody to compile it or do it.
Oh,
But
that's
it
that's
should be not thrown away. It's a
okay.
very interesting way of looking at. You can't imagine how much they challenge the village deity. And the men never cross the village deity from the front. They'll go on. Women do. But
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
talking about balance of power or anything, but then girls are very open to the deity because she's
Mm.
the,
Yes,
whereas
yes.
men are a little bit scared because men must have done something like alcoholic. Sometimes they're a wife beating their wife. Sometimes they're neglecting their family. Sometimes they're not. All these men are very scared of Ma.
Okay, okay. That's
That's
a very interesting.
That's very
That's a
interesting. That I tell stories to my students all the time.
okay, okay. All right. So the book is sort of it's in process. You're compiling it. You're writing it.
I'm
Look.
trying to. I don't promise to anyone. I'm trying. I'm not. I don't promise to anyone because uh, I'll do it perhaps.
I mean, your contribution has been phenomenal to the discipline and anything that you wish to do now, so far as sociology goes, anything that you feel is an unfinished task, anything that you feel needs to be engaged with, and
A lot of things are unfinished. I think children making the undergraduate children are most important now. It's
okay.
very important that they are totally disconnected, not more from, I mean, also from reality, but they are actually lost in the whole process, in the whole development of the world and development of the way it is going. They're sometimes overconfident, but internally they're not confident.
Okay. Ah,
I
yes.
think that work is very important to do. Some
Mhm.
kind of confidence and some, I don't know whether it should be called counseling or not, but some kind of integrated taking care of the children is very important. Girls are more distorted, but boys are also equally.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the home, this coming from troubled homes, and this also is
Number
something that
one, troubled
manifests.
home. Yeah, number one, troubled home, Lina, but more than troubled home, expectations of the parents are
Mm,
enormous, very unnecessarily high. And I don't think anybody from my family expected anything from me,
yeah,
anything. So we grew up with confidence, lot of confidence, and I don't think these children are. The confidence is lacking, and that's very sad. And I want somebody to take care of those children. I mean, I can see the future completely. Many ways dark. By chance, that will be not be dark, but many ways I see them dark, and I wish I could save them, or I wish I could do something for them. That's all.
okay, thank you so much, ma'am. It's been a
Thank
long
you.
conversation. Thank you for this rich conversation. I think there have been significant takeaways, and the way you have integrated feminist insights into your teaching and learning process.
Yeah,
You bring it to the fore, the lived experiences. You sort of the boundaries between the public and the private that you
yeah.
learn in the class. I think that has a special appeal to the students. And thank you so much once again. It was lovely talking to you.
Lovely, Lena, meeting you after such a long time, being grilled by you. especially.
Not at all.
I
Thank you.
enjoyed. I enjoyed.
Yeah. So, ma'am, if you can just elaborate a little bit on how you managed to revise some policies in the government policies in Orissa.
Yeah. A lot of them we could influence in revising. Like, for instance, they always want a birth certificate or a marriage certificate. I mean, marriage certificates were not there. I don't think I ever had marriage certificate. I don't remember, at least. Birth certificate and all. So they will give constantly judgments about who is staying with whom. He is not his, she is not his wife, he is not his husband, etc., etc. If they say husband and wife, we have to accept husband and wife, and the villagers will, add to that yes or no. But villagers have always been much more progressive than the policymakers and implementation.
Yes.
Yeah, villagers have always said, okay, yeah, they are staying for 10 years together. Who has seen anyone's marriage or something? They give, yeah, the elderly people will give a very good, some kind of that. And especially, Lina, elderly women, some mother's sister, the mother is dead. I mean, the mother is either dead or somewhere else, and mother's sisters is staying with somebody, some relation which who is not really close, that I know anyway, other than mother's sister. Mother's sister has no provision to get any rehabilitation benefit. But but she's been staying there for ages, and she's now old, and there is no provision for elderly to get this kind of singularly getting the benefit of displacement. But we insisted that they should get individuals who are staying as, even if mother's sister, they have to, you don't have to check whether it is mother's sister. People say in the village that she's been staying there for ages, and she's mother's sister, or if she's cousin sister or great cousin sister, it doesn't matter to us. You know what I say? Like, we always some relation like that. And especially these victims are especially women.
All right.
Mm.
Yes.
So
So,
therefore, they had to be integrated. They had to, and we did a lot of that. I did a lot of that. And
mm,
that was easy because the development agencies were directly concerned. And now it has to be
it's difficult. Difficult.
negotiated. That time it was easier.
So many stereotypes you had to break off, the government kind of people who were trying to implement the policies, and this whether it was patriarchy, whether it was caste. It was very
Yeah,
it.
do you know that villages are less, even if they look more patriarchal, they are
Mm,
less patriarchal.
mm,
Actually, from my experience, I mean, they negotiate with Thakurani, all
mm.
negotiate with Thakurani, all men, that if you don't keep her children now alive, because she's responsible for killing the children, that's what they
Oh,
think, because not because of malnutrition or for some defect. If you do it, we will throw you away. And they did in some places. They don't worship.
oh,
They stopped worshipping. They did something else with that. Though they
oh,
strongly believe that the village deity is eliminating all the diseases, which they believe in, and they do think that she is doing it. But in some cases, they fight for. I know a lot of places, villages, they fight for women's cause very violently, and all men sitting together. All men.
yeah.
Why are the
Mm.
children dying for, what fault of ours you are doing that? And they are not blaming the girl for anything. Normally, they will be blaming the girls. And no, they don't. They don't. If in a city, they will blame the girl. But in a village, they don't. I mean, this, of
So,
course, I'm
yeah, it's
talking.
so important to shatter these myths about life in a village and
Yeah.
about the attitudes of people in a village.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes.